NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to 4 on NBC News Now.
What do you say to Americans who say they voted for you because they want and they need relief?
Do you think that the country is currently in a constitutional crisis?
Bottom line, is it safe to fly in the United States right now?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to 4 on NBC News Now.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Morgan Radford.
I'm Vicki Wynn. NBC News Daily starts right now.
Today is Thursday, July 24th. Breaking news, wrestling icon Hulk Hogan has died. A look back at the life of the man whose charisma brought professional wrestling to new heights.
Rare visit, President Trump continuing his call to lower interest rates. Today, he's increasing the pressure with an official trip to the Federal Reserve.
And breaking his silence, sports analyst Pat McAfee is apologizing to a college student for his role in spreading a false rumor. Now, how her family is responding.
Freakier Friday, more than 20 years after the debut of Freaky Friday, fans are excited for the sequel. All the highlights from the red carpet premiere in today's Entertainment Wrap.
Welcome to NBC News Daily, where we are following breaking news about wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, who died today from a cardiac arrest incident at his Clearwater, Florida home. His manager told NBC Los Angeles that he was surrounded by family. He was 71 years old.
Hogan, whose real name was Terry Gene Bollea, rose to pro wrestling fame in the 80s and 90s, competing against everyone from Andre the Giant to The Rock. He won several WWE championships and expanded his celebrity status with the VH1 reality show Hogan Knows Best. Joining us now with the details is Morning News Now anchor Joe Fryer. Joe, we know you actually know this so personally because you're such a big WWE fan, but tell us a little bit more about what we've learned ahead of a press conference later this afternoon.
Yeah, the press conference will be held by Clearwater, Florida officials. That is where Hulk Hogan has called home for many years. They did put out a press release confirming Hulk Hogan's death, saying that there was a medical call. The nature of that call was a cardiac arrest, and they say the 71-year-old resident, Hulk Hogan, was treated by Clearwater Fire and Rescue crews before he was taken to Morton Plant Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. We're also hearing from the WWE, which says it is saddened to learn that WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has passed away, saying he's one of pop culture's most recognizable figures, that Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition in the 1980s, and that WWE extends its condolences to Hogan's family, friends, and fans.
Joe, of course, he came to fame in the 80s with wrestling, but he also had a pretty sort of big impact outside of the ring. I mean, politically speaking, he was pretty involved as well. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, many fans might recognize that he spoke at the RNC and had a key speaking slot there, supporting President Trump last year, something he had done many times over the years. He also was really the first sort of WWE superstar who really went into movies. He was in Rocky III. He made a movie called No Holds Barred, another one called Mr. Nanny. You also mentioned his time as a reality TV star. So all of these were part of his life, but he also had a complicated legacy as well. There was tapes released once where he had secretly been recorded where he made some racist comments. At that time, he was actually removed from the WWE Hall of Fame. He eventually worked to try and make amends, was reinstated. And one of the biggest headlines of his career post-wrestling was that there was portions of a sex tape released, published by Gawker. Hogan sued. He ended up getting millions of dollars out of that lawsuit. Gawker's no longer in business right now, and many people would cite that lawsuit as the reason we no longer have Gawker.
You know, Joe, there were some reports about his declining health in recent months. What do we know about that? And what's the WWE saying in response to his death?
Yeah, so those were basically rumors. We don't have any confirmation as to whether they were true or whether he had been dealing with any health issues. We know he did many surgeries over the years, as many wrestlers do. It is even though wrestling is scripted, as they like to say, the toll that's taken on their bodies is incredibly physical, and Hulk Hogan was certainly no exception to that at all. But we don't know what exactly he'd been dealing with. We'll wait to get a final medical examiner's report to learn about that. The WWE, as I read the statement earlier, is basically sending its condolences to fans and recognizing the many accomplishments he had. 1985 was the very first WrestleMania. And at that time, Hulk Hogan was in a tag team match with Mr. T. That was really the first sign that something had changed in the world of professional wrestling, that it went from the thing your dad watched to something that families were watching worldwide, and the legacy only grew from there for Hulk Hogan.
And something Joe Joe Fryer was watching.
Yeah,
Morning News Hour anchor, but also our resident WWE expert.
Exactly.
You were just a wee boy in 1985.
And everyone remembers WrestleMania 3, perhaps the most iconic pro wrestling match of all time, when Hulk Hogan body slammed Andre the Giant. It might be the most iconic moment in the history of sports entertainment.
Hey, Joe Fryer, thanks so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Joe. Well, now to Washington, where in just a couple of hours, President Trump will visit the Federal Reserve. He is the first president to do so since 2006. President Trump has gone after Fed Chair Jerome Powell on social media, pressuring him to lower interest rates. Meanwhile, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche is meeting with Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. That's happening right now inside a federal courthouse in Tallahassee, Florida. This is according to a senior law enforcement official. The Justice Department says it is hoping to obtain credible evidence and grand jury testimony in the Epstein case. NBC News White House correspondent Vaughn Hilliard joins us now from Washington, D.C. So, Vaughn, during Trump's visit to the Federal Reserve, he's going to take place in a planned tour of the building renovations. What else will he do while he's there? Any chance that he may be meeting with the Fed chair?
Potentially. The details of what exactly the president intends to do while at the Fed Reserve building headquarters is still an open question mark. But at 4 p.m. Eastern, he is expected to be joined by some individuals from his administration. And why is this so significant? It's because individuals within his White House have effectively been laying the foundation to claim fraud by Jerome Powell for this $2.5 billion renovation of the Federal Reserve headquarters. Now, let's be clear. There has been no specifics when asked about what exactly that fraud is, but the president does not have the ability to outright fire Jerome Powell, the Fed chair. And including his Office of Management and Budget, have almost made this case because they would need a reason to fire him. His term doesn't expire until May of 2026, and the president has, over the last months, repeatedly gone on the attack against Jerome Powell out of the Fed's refusal to lower interest rates, which this White House has wanted here. And so the question is what does the president intend to see while he is at the headquarters, and does he try to use that to justify a potential attempted effort to fire Jerome Powell? That's the outstanding question. We should be clear that taxpayer funds do not pay for this renovation. It is resources coming directly from the Federal Reserve. That's an important distinction. Vaughn, let's pivot to the Epstein case for a moment. Trump officials are reportedly tightening their grip on the messaging around this. What more do we know? Right. This has been now 3 weeks of headlines coming from this White House and demands, particularly from a great many Republican lawmakers, for greater access to the Epstein files. And you said it. The headline as we speak right now, Vicki, is that the Deputy Attorney General, the number 2 of the DOJ, is currently in Tallahassee meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell. It is not clear if we will see a transcript or what sort of information that comes from that meeting the American public will be privy to, or whether this administration intends to potentially open up a lower prison sentence, for instance, or a potential pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. There are a lot of questions about the relationship between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. There has been no accusations of criminal wrongdoing by the sitting president. At the same time, there have been calls from members of Congress and the public at large for greater access to the Department of Justice's files from beyond what has currently been made available to the public. All right, Vaughn Hilliard live in D.C. Vaughn, thank you. For more on the inflection point between Trump and Powell, check out today's Here's the Scoop podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts. Morgan?
Vicki, Brian Kohberger officially has started his consecutive life sentences for the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. In fact, less than 24 hours ago, Kohberger faced the family members and the friends of his victims nearly 3 years after brutally stabbing them to death in an off-campus home. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has more on the emotional hearing and new, quite disturbing details about what police found there at the crime scene.
Brian Kohberger preparing for life in a maximum security prison after coming face to face with the families whose lives he shattered.
You are gonna suffer, man. I'm shaking because I want to reach out to you, but I hope you feel my energy. Go to hell.
At Kohberger's sentencing hearing, he was given 4 consecutive life sentences, part of a plea deal that allowed him to avoid the death penalty. One by one, family members of the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle, had their day in court.
Her story was cut short by an act of evil.
The father of Kaylee Gonzalez turning the podium so he could address his daughter's killer directly.
Your actions have united everyone in their disgust for you.
Her sister taunting the 30-year-old former criminology student.
No one is scared of you today. No one is intimidated by you. No one is impressed by you. No one thinks that you are important. I will call you what you are. Sociopath, psychopath, murderer. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your ass.
While overnight, investigators releasing documents with disturbing details gathered about his crimes. The reports showing that a victim, apparently Kaylee Gonzalez, was, quote, disfigured in the attack, and that Xana Kernodle was found with more than 50 stab wounds, many of them defensive. The documents also revealing that Gonzalez told her roommates about alarming events near the house, including that she saw an unknown male staring at her while she was out with her dog about a month before. 2 or 3 weeks before the stabbing, Gonzalez also mentioned that she believes someone was following her, according to the report. One of the surviving roommates, Dylan Mortensen, who saw Koberger in the house the night of the murders, speaking publicly for the first time.
For beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason. There are the panic attacks. The kind that slam into me like a tsunami out of nowhere. I can't breathe. I can't think. I can't stop shaking.
From Koberger himself, no answers as to why he committed the horrifying crimes.
I respectfully decline. In my view, the time has now come to end Mr. Koberger's 15 minutes of fame.
After the hearing, lead prosecutor Bill Thompson defending the controversial plea deal.
I don't believe there's anything that would come out of his mouth that would not further victimize the families.
Now the victims' families turning toward the future.
Evil does not deserve our time and attention. We are done being victims. We are taking back our lives.
Liz Kreutz, NBC News.
The New York officials today saying that Food Network chef Anne Burrell died by suicide last month.
The New York City's medical examiner's office cited acute intoxication from multiple substances in her death. Back in June, the fire department said, without naming Burrell, that it responded to her address for a report of cardiac arrest. If you or anyone you know is currently in crisis, please call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Hotline.
Turning now to our CNBC Money Minute, United Health Group says it is facing a Justice Department investigation over its Medicare billing practices. In a securities filing, the company said it is cooperating with criminal and civil probes.
CNBC senior markets correspondent Dominic Chu joins us with more. Dom, what do we know about the specific claims from the DOJ and the internal investigation that United Health is launching?
Sure, Morgan, Vicky, the DOJ is not commenting about the probe itself, but the Wall Street Journal did report earlier this month that the Justice Department interviewed several doctors about United Health's practices. The questioning reportedly centered on whether they felt pressure to submit claims for certain conditions that bolstered payments from its Medicare Advantage program to the company. United Health says it launched a third-party review of its business policies and performance metrics as well. Meanwhile, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said today TikTok will go dark in America unless China agrees to give the U.S. more control over the popular app. TikTok's future in the U.S. has been uncertain since Congress passed a bill back in 2024 banning the platform unless it is sold by its Chinese owner, ByteDance. So a new development there from the Commerce Secretary. I'll send things back over to you guys.
All right, Dom Chu, we appreciate it. Thank you.
And stay right here. You are watching NBC News Daily.
NBC News mobile app. Get connected to your favorite news shows. For the top stories, breaking news, and live video, download the NBC News mobile app now.
More Americans turn to NBC News than any other news organization.
There's a looming strike at Boston's Fenway Park, and this one has nothing to do with baseball. Concession workers there and at nearby MGM Hall say that they'll walk off the job at noon tomorrow if an agreement is not reached with their union by then. One of the issues at hand is their concern over automated technology that the union says is making the ballpark less safe. The workers now urging fans to avoid buying any concessions during Red Sox games if, in fact, that strike takes effect. Well, luckily, we have NBC News correspondent Marquise Francis, who is here following this for us. What types of guardrails are they asking for when it comes to automation, Marquise?
Yeah, Morgan, I mean, just in general, you mentioned this is the first time. Fenway Park was built in 1911 and opened up the following year. So this was the first time for a strike in over 110 years. And onto those guardrails. In short, workers don't want to be replaced by machines, right? And so there's already been 3 of these automated checkout counters installed in Fenway Park, and workers have complained they've gotten less tips, and they're already complaining about not getting enough money. There's also concerns about what happens when you don't have people, and minors are now going to possibly purchase alcohol. There's some serious concerns there, of course. And then just the fact that workers are saying to our local affiliate in Boston that officials are doing so much to build up Boston Fenway and keep it this old-time menace, but now they want to replace people at concession stands with machines. And so a lot of questions there. They want to go and tackle this at the negotiation tables, but a lot still in question. Of course, the money is just not there. They're saying they're getting paid less than $20 an hour, less than their counterparts at other ballparks that Aramark is in across the country, like Miami, Seattle. And they say they actually get more fans. And so a lot to be said. And of course, this is not just any normal weekend. The world defending champs, the LA Dodgers, come to town this weekend, and so union workers are digging their heels in ahead of a big weekend.
I mean, isn't there a game tomorrow?
There's a big game tomorrow night.
And the deadline's at noon.
Deadline's at noon.
Okay, so how would this potentially affect people who've already bought their tickets, who are already ready to go to this game tomorrow, if this goes through?
Absolutely. I mean, according to the ballpark, things will be just fine. I actually want to pull up a full screen with a quote because the ballpark said in a statement, quote, "We are disappointed that the union chose to set a deadline despite our ongoing willingness to bargain in good faith. In the event of a strike, we have a contingency plans in place to ensure that fans will not encounter service interruptions." And so, of course, the ballpark is saying that. But according to the union, they say they actually haven't met since last week, Tuesday. So you have the ballpark saying they're willing to meet in good faith. The union saying we actually haven't met in over a week. The deadline is tomorrow at 12. And so the union is actually encouraging fans to actually go to the game, have a good time, but not purchase anything. Don't buy things at the concession stands, snacks, drinks, alcohol. And of course, for some people, that may be easy. For some others, a bit of a challenge, but this all comes down to tomorrow at noon.
Are you allowed to bring in your own snacks?
No.
Okay.
No. That would be some issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess my question, you mentioned good faith, negotiating in faith.
Yeah.
How much faith do you have that the union is going to win? I mean, do you think that they have a good chance here?
I believe, we've seen so many different union issues across the last couple months. Even in Boston, there was another neighborhood where they actually had garbage workers striking as well. We saw it also happen in Philly. And so they actually came to negotiation. They came to terms. Was it actually beneficial to union workers? There's some discrepancy there. I think a deal will be met. When, how soon, how good will it be? Still up for debate.
Take me out to the ball game. I'm not sure if we're going to buy any concession. Right.
Oh, wait, okay. So Boston, hopefully figure it out.
Noted, sir. Marquise Francis, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
New records show that nearly 36 911 calls have been made from Alligator Alcatraz since it opened in July. What we are learning about the conditions there later this hour. You're watching NBC News Daily.
taking over the helm of a 75-year-old broadcast, it's a great responsibility. The best reporters in our business know how to listen. And when you listen, you get the truth.
For NBC News,
I'm Tom Yams. And that's what we do every night.
Here's The Scoop, a new podcast from NBC News, where our journalists take a deep dive into the day's top stories, bringing you closer to the headlines and conversations that are shaping our world. From the front page to the zeitgeist in 15 minutes or less. Listen daily wherever you get your podcasts.
What if you could get paid to scroll on your phone?
I'd be a millionaire.
Well, there you go. That is the vision behind a new app from Generation Labs. It's a data company that studies young people's online habits. I don't know what the age cutoff is. We're about to find out.
I guess I don't apply for that part. Listen, it's called Verb AI. What it does is track just about everything you click, you buy, you interact with online, and then it gives you a cut of the profit. Stay tuned now. Anchor Gotti Schwartz has more on the new tech.
We live in a world where attention is currency. And while we swipe and tap and scroll, somewhere behind the scenes, tech companies are making billions. But what if you could get a cut? Cyrus Beschloss thinks that time is now.
I think we're now in the place where we can start to let people actually profit off of their own attention, off of their own behavior, because they own it and it's valuable.
Cyrus is the founder and CEO of Generation Lab, a data intelligence company that studies young people and the trends shaping the future. NBC News and other organizations have worked with them in the past on political polling, but their new project, called Verb AI, takes things to a whole nother level.
We say to you, hey, Gotti, that information of yours super valuable to us. We would love to find out more about you.
And by valuable, they mean $50 a month. That's how much Verb pays people to download a phone tracker app that logs pretty much everything from what you browse to what you buy, with a few exceptions like private messages and financial information. And that data feeds into an AI platform similar to ChatGPT, except the AI is kind of a clone of you and will let pollsters or advertisers figure out your preferences by asking your digital twin directly.
I want to know about 18 to 34-year-olds in the swing states, what news they're watching in September, October, and November of this year. And it will automatically draw from the relevant respondents who we've been tracking.
And unlike traditional polls and surveys, which Cyrus says are built on guesswork, they're finding what people say they do sometimes doesn't actually match reality. Like its name suggests, Verb measures action, not intention, directly from people's phones.
Traditional polling is like asking a patient to describe their symptoms. This is like an MRI.
And when you dive in, Verb can answer questions about all kinds of behaviors, from favorite hobbies to preferred news sources. Ask Verb what foods and snacks somebody prefers, and it will comb through the person's data to find out.
So now it's not just looking through what was purchased, it'll go into their social media and their search history to figure out what they're interested in.
Exactly.
Cyrus's team hopes to get 1,000 people to install phone trackers this month and 5,000 by the end of the year. He says users can pause or opt out at any time.
When I was growing up, the options I had was to donate plasma. Like, I needed money, I needed $20. I would donate plasma, get hooked up to a centrifuge, and give my blood. And now you're talking about giving $50 for attention, right?
Think about how intentionally people treat going to give plasma. You're not doing that unconscious. We've basically been having our plasma taken out of our arms every time we open up our phone, and we haven't been getting paid for it.
When you stop and think about it, it's an uncomfortable reality. And yet, in an increasingly digital world, it's one with real money at stake.
Gotti, real money at stake. This is really interesting. You're joining us now from LA. I guess my question is, what are the privacy concerns?
Sure.
And where specifically would they actually store that data?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the privacy concerns are pretty endless, and that's why you saw Cyrus basically say, be suspicious of anyone with your data, even them. But the biggest concern is if someone can buy your data specifically, as in somebody comes in and says, I want to know exactly what Morgan Radford and Vicky Nguyen are buying or swiping or thinking. Cyrus says that's not possible because they anonymize the data and they strip any identifying information. And instead, you kind of become this demographic statistic. And he also says that you could turn it off at any time. But those privacy concerns, I hate to say it, a lot of them are a generational thing. You talk to a lot of younger people and they'll say, all my stuff is already out there. Facebook, Meta, they know what I'm thinking. They know what I'm doing. Same with Google and Alphabet. So that tracking is kind of a given. As for who can access this data, right now, this is still very early on. They're making this two-way pitch, right? They're making the pitch to us with cell phones that do all of the swiping, and then they're making a pitch to companies. And as you can imagine, we still don't know who those companies that are going to jump on board are, but this stuff is very
a lot of money in it, $50 a month. All right, Gotti, thank you so much.
News lives in the now.
Look at this. You can't even see anything anymore.
Let's break down what we know.
You gotta see this.
News for the generation of now is NBC News Now. News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
Listen to full episodes of Meet the Press wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. It is 12:30 in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and 1:30 here in New York. Thanks for being with us. I'm Vicki Wynn.
I'm Morgan Radford. Here's what's making news as we speak. All 48 people on board a passenger plane were killed after it crashed into a dense forest in the far east region of Russia today. Emergency rescue crews on the ground say they found the aircraft's burning fuselage, but officials are still investigating the exact cause of that crash.
Ohio officials are investigating what they are calling an ambush by a gunman who shot 3 police officers near Cleveland yesterday. 2 officers are recovering from serious injuries after investigators say they were shot while eating lunch in their patrol cars. A 3rd officer who was responding to the scene was also shot and injured. The suspect died during the incident.
And the U.S. fertility rate dropped to an all-time low last year, according to new data from the CDC. Today, the agency revealed that a woman here has, on average, less than 1.6 children. Health officials attribute this drop to more women choosing to wait longer to have kids or to not have them at all. This new statistic is on par with fertility rates in Western European countries, according to World Bank data.
The state-run immigration detention center, dubbed Alligator Alcatraz, back in the headlines today. Records reveal that nearly...
I'm Hallie Jackson in Washington, and we are coming on the air with breaking news out of Florida. You can see it there. Officials holding a news conference in Clearwater about the death of Hulk Hogan, of course, the wrestling superstar who died today at the age of 71. Let's listen in.
Conducting a death investigation, which is standard in these types of cases. There are no signs of foul play or suspicious activity related to this call for service at this time. Our personnel is providing the family with the necessary resources. I'm strongly encouraging everyone to keep the family in their thoughts and respect their privacy during this difficult time. We will not be answering any questions, but we will provide additional information when it becomes available. Any public records request should be filed through our public records section with the Clearwater Police Department. No records will be released today. Our thoughts are with the family, and again, we ask everyone to respect their privacy during this difficult time. Thank you.
An extremely brief news conference, no questions taken there from police in Clearwater, Florida, on the death of Hulk Hogan at the age of 71. A simple statement, key headline, of course, being no sign of foul play in the death of Hogan at the age of 71. Apparently, officials had responded to a call for a cardiac arrest. He was then taken to the hospital and pronounced dead. His real name, Terry Bollea, of course, was a pro wrestling legend who helped make the WWE a household name and became one himself on TV shows, in movies, including in the third Rocky movie. I want to bring in NBC's Joe Fryer, who's following this for us. So, Joe, this was billed as a news conference from police, a bit of an update there. They did not take any questions inside the room about the death of Hulk Hogan at his Florida home just today, Joe. Tell us more about what you've heard and reaction that's coming in.
Yeah, not much information from authorities who did put out a news release earlier, basically echoing what we just heard there, saying that the nature of the call that came in just before 10 a.m. today in Clearwater, Florida, was for a cardiac arrest. We know that EMTs responded. They took him to a hospital, Morton Plant Hospital, and he was pronounced dead there. So we know the call was for a cardiac arrest. It's going to take some time before the medical examiner ultimately determines what the cause of death is here, Hallie. So we'll have to wait for more information about that. But we can tell you this is something that I'm getting texts from people of all walks of life, because that is just the impact that Hulk Hogan had on culture just across this country and across the globe. I mean, you sort of mentioned this, but professional wrestling was not a big deal in the early 1980s. Most of the wrestling chapters that were out there, they were regional. They were the kind of thing your dad might have watched, but they weren't huge. They weren't national, and they didn't have a superstar like Hulk Hogan, who came along and suddenly turned it into something that was truly, it was called Hulkamania. He told kids, say your prayers, take your vitamins. And kids got into it. Their families got into it. 1985, 40 years ago, was the very first WrestleMania. Hulk Hogan was in the main event then. He teamed up with Mr. T. That was the main event, and that is sort of a sign of just how things had shifted in the world of professional wrestling. Of course, we should keep in mind here, professional wrestling, it's very physical, but it is scripted. The outcome's usually predetermined. It is a form of sports entertainment, as you call it. But then Hulkamania just continued to grow, and it was really 2 years later. It was in 1987, WrestleMania 3, perhaps the most iconic match in the history of the industry, when Hulk Hogan body slammed the 500-pound Andre the Giant and won that match. But as we saw moments ago, Hulk Hogan leaves behind a complicated legacy over the years. We know just last year he appeared as a major speaker at the Republican National Convention, unabashedly supporting President Donald Trump. And there were some other issues that he experienced over his post-wrestling career. There were some racist comments he made that had surfaced. He ended up being removed from the WWE's Hall of Fame for a period of time. He worked hard to make amends for that, was eventually put back into the Hall of Fame and started appearing on WWE programming again. And then there was also this sex tape, which was published by Gawker, and Hulk Hogan sued it. And he won that lawsuit. He got millions of dollars and really ended up taking down Gawker. Not to mention all the movies that he was involved in, including Rocky III and a VH1 reality show, which featured him and his family. At a time still, we were talking about Ozzy Osbourne just a few days ago. This was shortly after that. Hulk Hogan was sort of one of the first reality TV pioneers.
You know, Joe, Hulk Hogan also in his later years was open about his struggle with prescription painkillers after a series of surgeries that he had had. You talked about wrestling, obviously hard on the body. This was something that he spoke about. He shared his story in presumably the hopes of helping others, too.
Yeah, he had a number of surgeries over the years. Pretty much anyone who has been in professional wrestling has, no matter how much training you have, no matter what you do. The bottom line is if someone hits you with a steel chair or throws you through a table or slams your body into a mat. Wrestlers, if you ever say to a professional wrestler, that's fake, they're going to not agree with you on that. They'll tell you what happens to their body is not fake. It is a scripted event. It is entertainment, but it is incredibly difficult on their bodies. And despite all the training in the world, there are numerous injuries. Not to mention, when we talk about CTE and we talk about football, there's always questions about whether CTE has impacted anyone in the sports entertainment field over the years, and the damage from that. Clearly, we don't know anything about that being linked to Hulk Hogan here. But it is hard on your body. He had a number of surgeries over the years and was candid about struggles with painkillers.
You know, Joe, I feel compelled to let folks know that it's not as though you're drawing on this wealth of knowledge about the wrestling world from a research packet. This is something that I know is something that you've followed for many years. But what's so interesting about Hulk Hogan is that whether you liked wrestling or not, I guarantee you knew his name.
Yeah.
He had such an impact well beyond the world of wrestling, even beyond the world of movies. If you weren't a movie buff, you still knew who Hulk Hogan was. We show that image of him ripping his shirt. That was like his iconic move that he again reprised at the RNC just last year, Joe. He had a very wide-ranging impact in this country and around the world.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, there's literally no one who's had a greater impact on the world of professional wrestling because he took it beyond professional wrestling. You know, my parents, when I was a kid, I started watching wrestling during the years of Hulk Hogan. My parents were not terribly fond of that, I'll be perfectly honest with you, but they certainly knew who Hulk Hogan was.
Yeah.
And when you saw him in person, whether it was in a main event or whatever, there was certainly something captivating about him. I mean, his music, his theme song was "I Am a Real American." This sort of patriotic theme was something that he pushed incredibly hard. The colors, obviously, he wore the iconic yellow color, but on top of that, it was always red, white, and blue around him. It was the message. He spoke directly to children. We had never seen someone in the world of professional wrestling ever do that before, and because of that, children got hooked on it, and then next thing you know, sometimes their parents were suddenly going to matches or watching it on television. And so he truly became a cultural phenomenon and was the first person, this day and age, we know The Rock, we know John Cena, we know Dave Bautista. These are people who started in professional wrestling and then made their way into the entertainment world. Hulk Hogan was the first person to do that in the industry. Yeah. It started with Rocky III, and then just movies that where Hulk Hogan was the marquee star in those movies. Whether they were successful or not, that can be up for debate. But he did something that no one had done before.
And we've heard the WWE, we've seen that even today, as I'm looking at some of their statements here, talk about how they are remembering Hulk Hogan now, as so many others are. Even, Joe, where I'm sitting here in Washington, the vice president, putting out a message about this. You see the WWE statement there, as they describe him as one of pop culture's most recognizable figures, Joe. And here's the vice president's tweet. A great American icon, he calls him. As you point out, Joe, and we've shown some of the video here, Hogan appeared at the Republican National Convention. He was at a rally with President Trump shortly before his inauguration. He was open about politics, too. He was somebody who was unafraid to use his celebrity for a conservative cause.
Yeah, and, in the world of professional wrestling, there are certain wrestlers who have always over the years been very open about their politics, and to be very clear, both sides of the aisle. There are those who are Democrats and liberal, those who are Republican. But Hulk Hogan really led the way in the fact that he very clearly supported President Trump, at the time then candidate and former President Trump. And the fact that he was an evening speaker at the RNC. If someone had told you 10 years prior to that or 15 years ago, that something like that was going to happen, that a former professional wrestler would have such a visible speaking slot at the Republican National Convention, they might not believe you. But clearly, that was part of the campaign strategy then for the Trump campaign, trying to appeal to these men, especially younger men, to get them to turn out to vote. And history will tell us that in many ways that was a successful strategy for the Trump campaign.
Let me play a little bit more about Hulk Hogan's life and his legacy from our correspondent Mark Borger now.
Long before he was the face of professional wrestling, Hulk Hogan was a professional guitar player and baseball pitching prospect. He made his wrestling debut in Florida in 1977. Just 2 years later, the wrestling world would be introduced to Hulk Hogan. The Hulk won his first world title in 1985, pinning the Iron Sheik at Madison Square Garden. Hogan skyrocketed to fame and Hulkamania was born, ushering in the 1980s wrestling boom. From movies, commercials
would be uncivilized,
and TV shows, Hulkamania had become a worldwide phenomenon, with Hogan the industry's most popular character, becoming the first pro wrestler to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated. In the mid-90s, Hogan would join a competing wrestling organization, Ted Turner's World Championship Wrestling, reinventing himself as a villain. Outside the ring, Hogan's fame included scandal, admitted steroid use, and an unauthorized sex tape that led to a legal battle and an award of millions. A WWE Hall of Famer, he returned to the ring in 2014, hosting WrestleMania 30 and celebrating his 61st birthday. Colorful and charismatic, Hulk Hogan will be remembered as a larger-than-life personality and a pop culture icon. Mark Barker, NBC News.
Our thanks to Mark Barger for that. Our thanks to Joe Fryer as well, as we are remembering Hulk Hogan today, again in that short news conference from Clearwater Police, saying that there are no signs of foul play in Hogan's death. We will have much more coverage ahead right here on NBC News Now. I'll see you tonight at 5. I'm Hallie Jackson. For now, NBC News Daily is after the break.
Americans turn to NBC News than any other news organization.
Taking over the helm of a 75-year-old broadcast, it's a great responsibility. The best reporters in our business know how to listen. And when you listen, you get the truth.
For NBC News, I'm Tom Yams.
And that's what we do every night.
Hey, I'm Hallie. We are coming on the air with fast-moving developments. Egg prices spiking, as anybody who has been to the grocery store has seen. What does this mean for people? Cheap AI. Talk to me like I'm me, and you know me. How big of a deal is this?
It is a sequel summer for Hollywood. Freaky Friday fans are gearing up for the follow-up to the hit 2003 Disney movie that is set to come out in August.
Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis reunited